Hello everyone, welcome to Simplilearn's YouTube channel. Today we will be discussing about spanning tree in data structure. But before we begin, let me tell you guys that we have daily updates on multiple technologies. If you are a tech geek in a continuous hunt for the latest technological advancements, then consider getting subscribed to our YouTube channel and don't forget to hit that bell icon to never miss an update from Simplilearn. Now let's get started with the agenda for today's discussion. We will start this discussion by understanding the importance of spanning tree and with the help of an application. Followed by that, we will deal with what is graph and data structure and their different types. Advancing ahead, we will understand what a spanning tree is and how it works. Once we are done with that, we will look into some essential properties of the spanning tree. And finally, we will cover the applications of a spanning tree to understand how we utilize this data structure in our daily lives. Now, let's get started with our first topic, which is understanding the importance of a spanning tree. We will have a look at an application of the spanning tree to understand it better. Meet Patrick. Patrick works as the head of the network administration department in an IT solution company named as Gray Solutions. Being the head of Network Administration Department, Patrick is responsible for managing his team to keep the organization's computer network up to date and operate it as intended. Network Administration Department coordinates and connects multiple systems in the company to a single network using multiple routers. This network is called as Local Area Network or LAN, which is created for the sole use of an IT company. But in the last few days, something went wrong in the network management system which came to Patrick's notice. He observed that the network loop is formed in a routing system. A network loop occurs when multiple routes carry information from the same source to various computing devices. And due to this formation of a network loop, the network connectivity started slowing down initially. After a few hours, the network connectivity completely went down and all the operations of the company stopped abruptly. Now Patrick and his team needed to do something in order to resolve this problem permanently. So Patrick started brainstorming to find out an optimal solution to fix this problem. One of Patrick's teammates was good at data structures and he came forward with an idea to implement a spanning tree data structure for managing the routing connections. He suggested replacing the old naive routing strategy with a minimal spanning tree routing. After listening to this idea, the whole network administration team started working on implementing a spanning tree. While doing that, they treated the network connection as a graph. The routers and end devices like computers, fax machines were treated as the nodes of the graph, where the connecting wires carrying network signals were treated as the edges of a graph. But before understanding how Patrick's team was able to solve this problem using a minimum spanning tree, let's first understand the basics of this data structure. This will allow us to get a clear insight into how spanning tree solves network routing problems. So let's start with graph and its different types. Basically, a graph is a structure made of nodes and edges connecting them. And there are three types of these graphs based on the types of edges. The first is the undirected graph, the second is the directed graph, and the last is the connected graph. Let's understand these types completely in the upcoming slides. The first type of graph that we are going to discuss is the undirected graph. It is termed as a graph in which all the edges does not point to any specific direction. In simpler words, all the edges of this graph will be bidirectional. As you can see in this particular graph, you can move from any node to any other node and retrieve back as well. Next up is the directed graph. It is a graph in which the edges point to a specific direction. By this, I mean in this type of graph, you can only move towards a single direction. For example, you can traverse this given graph starting from A, then B, then C, then D, and finally E. But here, you cannot traverse back from E to A as this graph is unidirectional. The last type of graph, depending on its edge, is a connected graph. It is defined as a graph with a path from any vertex to any other vertex in the graph. In this particular type of graph, you can reach any vertex from any other vertex in a graph. For example, you can go to node B or D from node A and arrive back at A from either vertex B or D. Now moving ahead, we will understand what a spanning tree is and how we can create it. Mathematically, the spanning tree for any graph G having vertices V and edges E can be represented using superscript notation G' having vertices V' and edges E'. Suppose we intend to create a spanning tree for graph G, then our spanning tree G' must follow few constraints. The first constraint suggests that the number of vertices for created spanning tree must be equal to the number of vertices of a given graph G. Further, the edges of G' should also be similar to the number of vertices in graph G minus 1. To understand this mathematical formulation clearly, let's have a look at an example. Now, for this given graph G, we have to formulate all possible spanning trees. Remember, a single connected graph can have multiple spanning trees until we fulfill the constraints mentioned earlier. So, for this particular graph G, we have 5 vertices and 5 edges. Additionally, each edge has been assigned with some cost or weight. Let's say this weight represents the distance between the connected two nodes. To create the spanning tree G', we need to ensure that G' contains 5 vertices and 5 minus 1, that is 4 edges. Hence, for this graph, we can create a spanning tree like this. You can observe that we have eliminated one node in the spanning tree to remove the loop or cycle in a graph. For this spanning tree 1, we have a cost or value equal to 10, and this cost is nothing but the summation of all edge weights. Now that we have created the first spanning tree for our graph G, I would like to ask all of you to give this a try. For that, I am going to provide you with a short moment to generate all possible spanning trees for the structure that we are discussing right now. You can also pause this video if you need more time in order to do that. So now let's have a look at all possible spanning trees at a glance. We have seen that the value for the first spanning tree was 10. And for this new spanning tree 2, it is 13. In this spanning tree, the edge between vertices B and C is removed. The next spanning tree looks something like this with cost 14. Further, we have spanning tree number 4 with a value 12. And finally, we have the last possible spanning tree 5 with a value 11. Out of all these spanning trees, the value or cost for spanning tree number 1 is the least, which is 10. Thus, this spanning tree will be called as minimum spanning tree. I hope you're clear with the creation of spanning trees, but how can we judge the number of all the possible spanning trees? Well, for that you need to check the structure of your graph. If the graph you have been given with is cyclic, then the number of possible spanning trees will be equal to the number of vertices. The cyclic graph is a graph in which you will have the same number of vertices and edges with a cyclic structure. If the given graph is a complete graph, then the number of possible spanning trees will be equal to v raised to v minus 2, where v is the number of vertices in a given graph. You can say that the given graph is a complete graph if each pair of vertices is connected by the unique edge. For this particular graph, the number of possible spanning trees will be equal to the number of vertices, that is 4 to the power of 4 minus 2, which is further equivalent to the square of 4. Hence, the number of possible spanning trees for this structure will be 16. Moving forward, let's understand some important properties of spanning tree. We have already gone through some crucial properties while creating spanning trees in the previous section. So primarily, we will list all of them here. The first property of a spanning tree conveys that a connected graph can have more than one spanning tree. The next property states that the number of vertices in spanning trees must be equal to the number of vertices in the given graph, whereas the number of edges is equivalent to the mod of v minus 1. The third property of a spanning tree says that the spanning tree must not contain any cycle. If the structure that you have created as a spanning tree includes a loop or a cycle, then it's clear that you have made a mistake because no tree can contain a cycle. And finally, the fourth property is all about Cayley's formula. If the given graph is a complete graph, then you can calculate the number of possible spanning trees using the formula v raised to v minus 2. The next property of a spanning tree conveys that a spanning tree can never be disconnected. For example, if you create a spanning tree for this given graph which is accurate and you erase one edge, when you do that, the structure will no longer be a spanning tree. It can only be referred to as a disconnected graph. The next property states that if the graph contains more than one similar weight, there is a possibility of having more than one minimum spanning tree. For example, in this particular graph, there are more than one edge having the same weights. Thus, there will be two possible minimum spanning trees with the same cost, that is 7. This is all about the properties of spanning trees. Now that you understood what spanning tree is, you would have also understood how it proves is an effective solution, and that is exactly how Patrick from our story solved his network issue. In a few days, Patrick and his team changed the naive routing into the minimum spanning tree routing. Now, the routing paths are managed by a minimum spanning tree to maintain cost effectiveness and to avoid any looping activity. As we have already understood, MST removes all the loops from a given graph, and we also know that the whole network becomes the graph for which MST will maintain a minimal routing path. Hence, the network system will never experience a network loop again. Due to this amazing initiative, Patrick and his team were appreciated by the whole organization. This example clearly illustrates the importance of a spanning tree and why it is one of the most important algorithms in data structures. Now, we will look into the different applications of spanning trees. The first application that we are going to talk about is telecommunication network building. If we want to build a telecommunication network for the whole city and we are putting different connection lines for each customer, then we will have to deal with a huge cost. This naive, ordinary approach is not the best solution to build a connection line. But no worries, this problem can be resolved using the minimum spanning tree data structure. In this case, each customer will be treated as a vertex, whereas the connection line will be treated as an edge. The minimum spanning tree will give us the possible output for generating the telecommunication network. No matter what type of algorithm you are building using machine learning techniques, somewhere down the line you will be using clustering techniques quite liberally. Clustering and data preparation go hand in hand, as many times you will be working at least initially with data sets that are largely unstructured and unclassified. Those data sets cannot be classified using single neuron or classification methods. So you use a clustering algorithm which utilizes a minimum spanning tree to create clusters or groups by mapping distances between data points. The next application of a minimum spanning tree is image segmentation. You must have observed that your face gets detected with the square shape while clicking images in selfie mode. This scenario is happening due to the image detection algorithm developed in the camera system. At the back end, the picture gets fragmented into tiles of similar pixels with the help of a minimum spanning tree. The last application of the spanning tree is its use in calculating the finance factors. A correlation matrix can be created by calculating a coefficient of correlation between any two stocks. This matrix can be represented topologically as a complex network, and a minimum spanning tree can be constructed to visualize the relationships. So with this, we come to the end of this video on spanning tree in data structure. I hope this video was informative and interesting. If you have any queries regarding the concepts covered in this video, then please put them in the comment section below, and our team will help you solve your queries. Thank you so much for watching this video, and stay tuned to Simply Learn for more such interesting videos.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simply Learn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.